My cousin came to visit me a while back. He hadn't seen me in a long time, and I explained to him how I write. He said I should probably see a neurologist. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. It's Samantha Tennant, and welcome to another Fresh Fiction Video Book Club, where we get to know the authors behind the latest books and stories that you are reading and listening to. Tonight, another fantastic author who we've visited with before, BJ Daniels. Just a reminder, she has written more than 130 books for different lines of Harlequin, numerous bestsellers on the New York Times and USA Today bestselling. And she got her start writing actually with newspapers. So she started out as a journalist and then migrated into these stories. BJ, it's so good to see you again.
It's so good to see you. Can you hear me?
Now, yes, I can hear you great. Yes. And I
Okay.
mentioned that you started off writing with newspapers and then transitioned into longer stories. But what I'm really intrigued with is part of that transition is that you did short stories for Women's World magazines. I
I
loved
did.
picking those up always. I loved getting those short stories. I mean, what was that like as part of your transition, going from that journalism style to short stories to then the full-length novels?
Oh, I always loved Women's World, and I love the short stories. And I thought, oh, come on, I can write one of those. And I wrote quite a few of them, but I had too much adventure. And the editor would always send it back and say, tone down the adventure. But she finally bought one, and then after that, it was pretty much hit or miss. But I ended up selling 40. But it was pretty easy because it's just a case of lying. You just make things up. With the newspaper, you can't, you have to follow guidelines, but otherwise you're just free to do whatever you want. So it was a lot of fun.
Okay, so you're just making things up. I mean, okay, I laugh because that is essentially what you're doing, of course, with all of these stories, is you're coming up with your own ideas and putting it down on paper. But how are you initially coming up with the ideas? I mean, like I said, you have over 130 books and stories out there. I mean, how do you come up with that fresh new idea?
It's so funny because I have lots of ideas and I can't seem to not have ideas. My husband thought I was going to retire at some point, and I'm like, why would I retire? I still have stories going in my head. Yes, I just signed a 6 book contract, so I have at least 6 more stories for sure.
Congratulations.
I thank you. I just see stories everywhere. I can't stop doing that. And so because of it, I'm just going to keep writing as long as I can because I do. I really enjoy it. And it's lying and you get to kill people. So those two things keep me going.
Lying, killing people, throw in a dash of romance. I mean, you've got it
Oh,
all
yes,
right there,
yes.
huh?
Yeah, romance too. Yeah, that goes without saying, right? You got to have that too. Spice it up a little bit. Hmm.
What was the basis behind this latest book, Missing Baby Doe? I have to admit, because when I saw it, I'm like, whoa, okay, she's already pregnant, pregnancy picture on the cover. And then reading the synopsis, it's, oh, wait, the missing baby is not the main characters. It was very surprising as in that you have your sheriff, Kat, who is pregnant herself and then searching for this missing baby. This is not the storyline you are typically seeing.
It's funny because I'm a seat of the pants writer, so I never know what's going to happen. And so I was just as surprised as you were when I found out that the sheriff was also pregnant. But as it turns out, I think she could really relate with to a lot of the other woman, what she was going through and looking for the baby and it made it just so much stronger for her, I think. But like I said, it was all a surprise to me. I didn't know she was pregnant. And she's very pregnant. Don't you love the cover though?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's no question. She is preggers right there. Yes.
She is. And the girls at Harlequin who put this together, I thank them so much. I adore them because I said, you got it. That's her. That's my character. And they said I didn't describe her very well. They had to go with what they, but they got her. They absolutely got her. Yeah. Fun.
What else surprised you in writing this book then? I mean, I always find it so intriguing when writers say that they're really a pantser and figuring it out as they go along. especially when you're writing suspense and mysteries. I'm kind of like, how do you not know where all this is already going? And don't you find yourself writing yourselves into corners, or that you missed certain hints and that you've got to go back and do things? And with this, again, there's so many different aspects in this story than what I see a lot of times in other romantic suspenses with this character. What else surprised you throughout?
It's funny because once you stand the character, the way it works for me is once I stand the characters up and they start talking, they tell me their story. I don't know what their story is. So I'm like the reader. I'm going along going, wonder what that's about. I learned a long time ago when I was writing for Woman's World, actually, I had a character who started limping and I didn't know why he was limping. So I was writing along and suddenly he was limping. And so I took it out, went a little bit further, and he was limping again. And I was like, okay, fine, let him limp. So I kept going and it got to the end and I found out why he was limping and it all made perfect sense. And I learned to trust my instincts. If they limp, let them limp. And if they tell you things you wish they hadn't told you, and you really, that was not the way you thought the story was going to go, I go with it because it's like my subconscious knows better than I do, because I never know who the killer is. And then when I do realize who the killer is, I get all excited, goosebumps and all that, because it's just fun. And I think if I plot it, I don't think I would write because I'd already read that story. I know it's strange. My cousin came to visit me a while back. He hadn't seen me in a long time, and I explained to him how I write. He said I should probably see a neurologist. Yeah.
So are you seeing, okay, it's interesting when you're talking about the character that limps. So is it like you're seeing a movie in your head? Are they also talking to you? Are they just sitting on your shoulder? I mean, how does that come to
They
you?
talk to me. And oftentimes, like when I'm finishing one book, the characters in the next book start talking to me, and I have to go, not now, just hold on, I'm almost done with this book. Let me finish this book, and then we'll get to your story. So, yeah, it's very odd. I know it's odd, but it's worked for me. Like you said, over 130 books. I think it's 134 right now. And people ask me, why do you keep, I mean, how do you keep doing that? But it's because these characters are still there. There's still these stories that have to be told. And I try to mix it up a lot because I would get bored if I wrote the same story. It's always nice that it's interesting to me. I go, oh, because you just get an idea and you think, that's a crazy idea. But if you go with it, it's entertaining for me, which I write for myself. Isn't that crazy?
We'll have to check with the neurologist to be sure on that one then, okay?
That's how I amuse myself. Oh yeah, I'm working on a book right now that's so much fun. I can't wait to get back to it every day. It's like reading a book and you don't want to put it down. I'm that way with the book I'm working on right now. I can't wait to get back to it tomorrow because I don't know what's going to happen. So
How much time do you devote then to writing each day? I remember hearing or reading that your first book took you about a year. So obviously you've gotten better in that time frame since you've written over 130 and you are nowhere near 130. So how long do you spend each day, and is that all writing? Is it a portion of it editing? Do you put it aside for a while? And how do you keep that up and still churn out the number of books that you do?
I usually try to write 10 pages a day, every day. And I work every day to keep the story in mind. So when you come back the next day, like a job, and you go there, it's not, if you have a day where you're like, oh, I don't quite feel like writing, then days can go by and you won't write because by the time you go back to it, you can't really remember what was going on and you lose that. I think Stephen King was saying you have to write while it's hot, while it's right there. And I really believe that. So that's how I do it. I just treat it like I got to go write my 10 pages. And like I said, most of the time, I can't wait to get back to it.
And you've also talked about that you need to discover the sound of a book before you can really get into it. What do you mean by the sound? Because that's more, I would think, than just the characters talking to you.
Each book has its own kind of feel. And to me, it's like a sound. And it's very hard to explain. And I'm sure I have done a terrible job other times. It's every book you pick up has a different feel to it. Maybe it's more of a feel than a sound, but to me, it's a sound. And because the people are so different and they talk different and their situation is different. And maybe if you've read all 30 of my books, you say, no, they all have the same sound. It could be just me. But to me, it has, yeah, each one is unique. And until I get that first part going, I start the first part because I usually just start writing. Like I said, since I don't know where I'm going. And then it just starts, I don't know. It sometimes I can't type fast enough. I really cannot type fast enough to keep up with what's going on. I know it's very strange. I have friends that are plotters and they just shake their head. It's no. And thing is, it's dangerous too, because I was doing a 6-book, I think it was the Montana Hamiltons. And in the first book, at the very end of it, this woman is pushed out of this plane and she parachutes down into the trees. And that's how it ended. And I was with some writer friends and we were talking about it. And I told them, I said, oh, I don't know who she is or what her story is at all. And they said, but isn't that book going to come out? And what if you don't figure it out? And I said, it's always worked so far. And fortunately, and the day that quits working, I'll probably quit writing because my editor will send a note and say, don't send any more books. You're done.
We'll have to still finish that other book because you will not be able to leave us readers on a similar cliffhanger of who was this woman that just parachuted out of a plane? I mean,
well,
you gotta at least come on.
I wrote 5 more books. And during those 5 books, you learned and I learned more about that woman. She stole the show, I have to admit. Yeah. She was the one everybody wanted to know what is going to happen with Sarah. But she was fun. She was one of the more fun characters I've written.
Having such a breadth of books, have you seen those stories change from your first series that you wrote into what you're writing now? How have you seen the genre, I guess, really evolve?
I think it has. That it's tough to see how much you changed. You always try to grow as a writer and read. I read constantly other people's stuff, trying to keep educating yourself basically and being a better writer. But I don't know that I have. I mean, I hope I have. I mean, my readers have stayed with me and they seem to like the books. And so this is good. And I figure maybe I'm still doing okay. I don't know. It's funny because you hope that you do. You hope that you're growing and that it's getting, people tell me, they go, this is the best book ever. But, I don't know. I don't know. And they keep buying my books. I think maybe this is the sign.
I think it's a genre that is still so appealing to so many different people. And there's lots of thrillers and things that you can see on TV where it's almost like they're always amping the gore level in a way. Like, how else can we shock you? And it's getting more and more crazy and out there and more for the shock value.
I think one of the problems is, that they do that because they've been doing the same thing so much that they have to, in order to up it, they've got to get either sexier or more violent something. I still believe in story. I just think if you tell a good story, and I'll tell you what is hard is with readers, they figure out how you write. And so then they figure out that they can figure out who the killer is because they know what you do. And after this many books, it is very hard to fool readers because they know your methods. So you have to keep mixing that part up. They think this is happening and you're like, but this is really happening. So that is the real challenge for me. I don't add more sex or more violence, but it is constantly trying to fool them because I hate picking up a book and start reading it. There was one that I knew who the killer was within the 3rd page. And that is just not any fun. It's not any fun. So you need to keep fooling them to keep them coming back. At least that's my theory.
And I love how just Montana itself is almost its own character throughout your books also. I have some other friends that live up in Montana, and they're always posting pictures, and it's gorgeous. It's too cold for me, but still gorgeous. I mean, I know that you live up there, but how are you also in finding different elements of the state and the local areas still to bring into your stories and highlight? Or is that still really an important aspect of the storyline for you?
It is, because Montana it's one of the characters. It snowed here today. This is normal for us. You're like, huh, look at those big flakes coming down. So yeah, it has to be part of the story because Montana's so big and because of our weather and because there are really isolated spots where you cannot get internet. I did a series on the Powder River. And over in that area, there's no internet in places. And so you can use that in your story. History of Montana, people seem to like that. It interests me. So, like I said, I'm amusing myself. So I love getting the history and putting a little, not too much, but just a little bit. And a lot of times you can use that history with your mystery. I mean, it turns out that adds to the mystery. So it's
Are you
kind of a
finding that you're
unique
having to still
state.
go into research with that? Or is that also part of the dictionary? Is that even a word? Your literary license?
Oh, as far as, I stick to things pretty closely because people know. And you don't want anybody who lives in Montana and says that's not what that place is. Last year, let's see, I guess it was last summer, I did a book set in, what is the name of it? Oh, it's one of my favorites too. Oh, it's the Bride one. Oh boy. See, after this many books, that I can't remember. Renegade Bride. Renegade wife. There we go. And it's set in Cook City, Montana, which is right on the border of Yellowstone Park. That was really fun to do because it was a new area for me of Montana. And so I learned a lot. And also I used what was there. You don't know who the hero, I don't know who it's going to be until I outfitter that showed up in the book. And he was great. I loved him too. So I fell for him. Yeah. He was a lot like my husband, though.
I mean, admit it, you always need to fall a little bit in love with your hero of your stories, right?
You do. Yeah. You
That's why
do.
we have so many different book boyfriends, yes.
I know. It's like cheating. I know.
Right. BJ, I want to flip over to what we call our fresh fiction facts, series of random questions. Hopefully, we can get something off the top of your head, and it covers a wide range of areas. Okay.
Yes, you never know what's going
Okay.
to come off the top of my head.
You never know. It's okay.
No.
An easy one. What road trip snack do you always end up grabbing from the gas station?
Oh, geez. I love candy coated peanuts. I hate it when I find them in the travel place because I have to have them. Yes. And I tell myself they're good for me. See, that's how it works. Otherwise,
Protein,
it's
right?
just candy.
What is one thing that was ruined once it became popular?
Oh, I think everybody got sick of cowboys for a while. And I personally, some of my heroes weren't cowboys, but they still put a cowboy hat on them because they live in Montana. I've had people tell me, are they aware that not everybody in Montana is a cowboy? I said, apparently not. No, no. Mm-mm. No, but our governor is not from here. He's from New Jersey. He wears a cowboy hat. There you go.
Oh, well, okay. I don't think I can say much there with the New Jersey aspect. Sorry. No.
It's like salsa, but yeah.
Right?
Anyway.
What is one thing that you always forget when you're in a hurry?
Oh, geez. Usually, yeah, my phone. I'm like, where's my phone? Or my Coke Zero. Yeah. I've walked out of the house after filling up my cup with ice and Coke Zero. And then a couple times I've had to send my husband back. Go, could you go get my Yeah, I drink too much. Yeah.
I can relate to that. I've heated things up in the microwave before thinking, oh, I'll just grab it and go. And
Yep.
then I'm in the car several miles down the road and realize, oh, that's still sitting back in the microwave. So much for that. Okay.
Probably cold by now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, alrighty. Would you rather go back in time and meet your ancestors or go forward and meet your descendants?
Ooh. I think I'd rather go back in time because I've always been fascinated, especially by Montana history way back. And I would love to go back during that time and see what it was like. Yeah. Because especially the gold rush and all of that. And there weren't very many women around. And a lot of them pretended to be guys because of the problem with being the only female in town. Is can be bad. But yeah, I think that would be great. Earlier, they were talking about riding horses and shooting guns. That sounds fun to me.
What is your most dog-eared book? The one that you keep going back to over and over again, either for pleasure or maybe for research?
Gee. Oh, Gad. There's one called Place Names in Montana, and it's all the original post offices. And a friend of mine wrote it. And excuse me, it's one of my favorites because it's a great way to get a little history, but also to use some of the old names of towns that are so much fun. One of the biggest problems with writing 130 books is names for characters, names for places, if you're making them up, especially character names. Boy, for a while you kind of run out of names. So when I hear a strange name, I get really excited. And oftentimes there are some in that book.
Feel free to use Samantha Tennant whenever you want to. I'll just put that out. Just saying. Hey.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Is there an author that you feel that whenever a new book comes out, you just have to read all of their stuff? Backlist, brand new release, everything.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yes, I do have some favorites that if I see them at the store, I snatch them up. But right now, of course, I won't be able to remember them. Oh, Gad. Oh, see, this is really bad. I've been reading all of the ones, the made ones. What is her name? Everybody's reading those though. The thrillers. Oh shoot, I just read
Oh,
The Boyfriend, The
the
Crash,
housemaid.
and
Are those the ones by Freedom McFadden? Is
yes,
that who it is?
yes.
Yes.
I'm hooked on hers right now. Yes. So every time a new one pops up, I grab it. Yeah. And thrillers are very fun. So
For you, who do you think should be on the Mount Rushmore of writers?
oh geez. Stephen King. Oh yeah. I started with Stephen King. I love Stephen King. Yeah, he's great.
What can we look forward to next? Even though we have Missing Baby Doe, as readers and listeners, we always want to know, what are you working on next?
Right now I am working on, let's see, I'm working on the last book in a series that hasn't even come out yet, which is just crazy. So it's really hard because you're always working a year in advance. I have a new series coming out called Dry Gulch. It's a small town in Montana that supposedly nothing ever happens, but of course we know something does happen. And I'm on the last book in that series. And after that, I'm starting a whole new series that'll be coming out, I sighed, a year from now. So yes, it's really hard when you're working a year in advance to talk about what you're working on. But the book I'm working on now, I'm having so much fun with. Yes, I can't say much about it because I'd give it away, but it's very fun. Yes, more Montana.
Well, where is the best? More Montana, right? More
Yep.
suspense, more romance.
Small
But with
town.
that, where then is the best place for readers to keep up with you and find out any other upcoming details?
On my website, if they go to my website, they can get a postcard whenever I have a book coming out. And they can sign up for that, or they can follow on the website. Also, they can sign up for my newsletter, which comes out pretty much quarterly, announcing what's going on and what's new in my life. And let's see, and Facebook some, yeah. I get to working and I forget about Facebook, but right now you want to forget about Facebook because what's going on. But yes, I'm still working no matter what happens. And I'm in a new addition. My husband just built this building for me. We bought a place in Livingston, Montana, and he built this in the back where I had a quiet place to work. But we're not done, but it's coming along. I don't have drapes yet.
You'll be able to get it all customized and fixed up just how you want it then, huh?
Exactly. He's putting my desk together that I ordered, so it's all good. Yeah. I just need some place quiet to work. I can't take a lot of noise. I don't listen to music or anything when I work. Or my husband. I don't listen to him either.
Working or not, huh?
No, if you ask him, he keeps thinking I'm going to quit one of these days, but
Oh
it's
no,
going to be
not
more.
stories.
No, too many stories.
Well, BJ, thanks again for joining us this evening. I always enjoy talking with you and seeing you via Zoom or in person. And for our readers, definitely go check out Missing Baby Doe and see what's going on with a significantly pregnant cat and her search for the missing baby and the romance with Dylan. I mean, there's just so much in this book. You guys are definitely going to enjoy it. And as another little treat, I can tell you, if you go check out BJ's website, you'll get to see some personal pictures of her through the years. Definitely go and get some additional insight into BJ there. Thanks
Oh,
again,
thank
BJ. It
you.
was great talking with you.
It was
Stick around for
great.
our
Yeah, it
happy
was.
hour with our reader.
Thank you. It was great visiting with you, and thank you again for having me. And see you. And thanks
Always.
to all your listeners.